Welcome to the G.N.A. podcast, Games, Nerds, and Alcohol, where we usually get drunk and talk about stuff. However, I am still recovering from Zerona, so I am not drinking again. Which I know, it seems I'm not drinking a lot, and I seem to just be finding excuses not to drink. However, it takes a lot to not hack and cough my frigging brains out, and I am addicted to these friggin' Ricola. What the hell are they? Is there tamales? I don't know. They taste like lemon. They taste like I'm tongue punching the dirt star of a lemon. That's what they taste like. But they keep the cough down, so that's all I care about. So I'm not drinking tonight, but we're still gonna kick this in because, as they say, the show must go on. I'm being joined here tonight by D from Microbrew Gamerz. D, how you feeling, man?
Well, weak mortal.
I mean, how you doing, man?
I'm well. How are you doing this evening?
You know what? Without listening to the actual voice from the Doom game, you know who you actually kind of sound like to me?
Vigo the Carpathian?
Megatron from the old Transformers cartoons.
Oh, yeah, his is more high-pitched, though. Like, I worked on a Megatron voice for a couple of years back in, like, the early 2000s.
Well, don't forget, it's been, like, 15 years since I've watched it.
Yeah, his is, like, God, I don't even think I could do it. I haven't even tried Megatron in so long. But his has got a distinct high-pitched ting.
One of them was actually kind of deep. Which one was that then? There was one that had kind of that Megatron but deeper.
I think you're thinking of like Galvatron or something like that.
Okay, yeah, Galvatron.
Like the big gargantuan one, and he had like a very deep like bellowing, and I think they did that just to make him sound big.
Yeah,
if that makes any sense. Well, D-Man, how you feeling tonight, guy?
Doing okay, and one of us is powering through and drinking. One of us.
Oh, thank God. Because if not, the show would just be so lame.
Hey, I'm even trying a new beer for the show.
Yeah, I saw your face when you threw it on a second ago. You got to tell me, what are you drinking, man?
All right, so this is from Timber Yard Brewing Company. It's the sour series, so I'm trying out a sour. I usually like sweet beers, so I'm trying out a good sour one. So it's a Berliner.
More power to you.
It's a Berliner Weisse style ale.
Okay.
So it's a Berlin, white beer. So it's an ale.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a sour, so it's wicked sour. It's brewed with real blood oranges and cranberry juice. I can taste the blood orange and cranberry in there, but it's definitely sour versus sweet. It punches you with the sour right on the attack. And you also feel a bit of the sour afterwards, like a second hit as it hits the back of your throat.
Yeah, like, dude, more power to you because I do not like sours. And I've tried so many sour beers trying to find one that I would like. Every single time. Like one of the worst ones I tried was a rhubarb sour. And oh man, like I hope somebody found it really tasteful.
I don't know. I don't think I'd like, I like rhubarb and sweet things, but I don't know if I'd like a sour rhubarb.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I like cranberry juice and I like blood oranges, so I get that citrus and that sour of the cranberry. I mean, it's definitely near the limit of the palate where I like it. But I mean, if you like something sour, I mean, to give you some idea, I'm enjoying this, but I don't like Warhead's candy, so it's not like I like the super 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 sour stuff.
Oh yeah.
But this is actually pretty decent. Let's see how it lasts throughout the show, because some things it's like it's good at first, and then it's like, as you drink more, it tends to be like, I just can't take it type deal. But so far, it's pretty crisp. It's definitely, I can tell the cranberry and the citrus.
Nice. Well, I'm hoping, and this is, again, hope. I hope that I heal up a lot more on this weekend and then coming week. Because if I do, I'm going to start pre-graining for the show next week super early. That way, by the time I actually get on here, I'll just be talking in gibberish, and you'll just be like, "Hey, are we actually doing a show, or are you just like pontificating on like what the wall looks like?" And I'll be like, "It's so blue. I miss blue."
It reminds me of like a Family Guy episode, man.
Hmm?
Peter and Lois decide to start playing music again.
Oh yeah.
So they light up a joint, they get stoned as hell, and they're like rocking it out. You think, and then it pans out to actually reality, and they're just gibberish and flailing around.
Yep.
It's great.
That'd be about how it is. Put the beer goggles on. Here I am thinking that I'm like I'm belting out this sonnet, and really I'm just sitting here like describing this this mouse mat I got. Well, I am drinking this this nice, crisp, clear dihydrogen monoxide.
You know, a lot of people die due to dihydrogen monoxide.
Dude, it's you got to be careful because too much of it can easily kill you. And you got to be careful because, like, I mean, I've seen dihydrogen monoxide actually cut right through steel. So you got to
it can. Yeah,
you got to be super careful with this stuff. I'm risking it, of course, for the show because I want to make sure everybody gets good entertainment here. But,
I've seen it leveling parts of cities even. Whew.
Yeah, and not it doesn't have to be a lot of it, and all of a sudden there you go. Well, State of Games is where we talk about what we've been playing for the past week, or we just say how we feel about gaming is in general. What's your State of Games there, guy?
Well, on the collector side, I collected a few new things.
Yeah.
So I actually picked up, it cost me a little bit, of course, because it's not cheap, but I picked up a Sega CDX. Not the one that I found in the box, because that was already sold, but I actually wound up breaking down and buying one out of the box, testing it out, and it works great. Love it. It's that little Sega CDX. It looks almost like it's a portable CD player. And
yeah.
It'll play Genesis games or Sega CD. Or music CDs, you can pop in headphones and carry it around. It actually works through batteries, so it literally works like a Walkman. It's a pretty neat device.
I remember that thing. That's awesome, man. That is friggin' awesome.
It came with a couple games and everything else, so I have that over here.
God, I can still remember playing Sega CD over at Zyber's house. Remember Sewer Rats? I think it was Sewer Rats.
I do. Sewer Shark.
Sewer Shark. That was it. Sewer Shark. And then there was...
Yes, I do.
And then there was the Echo game, Echo the Dolphin.
Yep.
And he keeps saying that we played Night Trap, but I don't remember playing Night Trap there.
But Night Trap did come out. It came out on it originally.
It did. I don't remember playing it at his place, but we must have, because he was like one of the only people that I knew who ever had one in their possession. I think he rented it for a while, or maybe he owned it. I can't remember. But I don't remember anybody else. Like, I don't even remember you having a Sega CD back then.
No, I collected it, more recent times.
Yeah.
I mean, I had one years ago that I collected as an adult, but no, I grew up with all the Nintendo stuff and everything else, and then went to PlayStation and still had the Nintendo stuff.
Yeah.
My brother had a Sega Saturn and a Dreamcast, and
Yeah, and I remember that.
So,
but yeah, like Zyber was the only one I remember having it. But for the life of me, I can't. I must have played Night Trap at his place, because I remember distinctly playing Night Trap, but I just don't remember it being at his place. No, it's probably washed away on some alcoholic soaked brain cells that'll eventually become unpickled of all the water I'm drinking.
Or maybe just lost a few that got popped during, I don't know, something like drunken snowboarding.
Oh, Drunken Winter Olympics. God, that was so much fun. Dude, that was like...
Bad for us, though.
Oh, God, yeah. I'm surprised we lived through half of it. I mean, come on. When you think about it, like, sober and, an adult, you think, yeah, let me go snowboarding down a hill, but down the street, because there's a road on the hill. Let's go snowboarding down that in old-ass snowboards, completely drunk. And let's see how this works out.
And not yet knowing how to snowboard.
Yeah, let's see how this works out. I mean, I knew how to snowboard. The one I didn't know how to snowboard was at Putz's birthday party, where Craze showed up and he had that Walmart plastics Alpine style snowboard.
Oh yeah, the fake one. Yeah, the dollar special there.
Yeah. I mean, look, more power to him, because he wanted to board, and that was awesome. He just wanted to board. So it was like, oh yeah, cool. I mean, he was putting the effort in. But God, I remember jumping on that thing, and I was like, yeah, sure, I got this. I went flopping down there. I dumped it so hard, and I landed on that little knoll because it was like the hill that was out back. It went down and then it went up.
Yeah.
And then down again?
Yeah.
Well, I dumped it as soon as I started going down, tumbled, and then landed on that secondary down, like right at the knoll of it, and it was all covered in ice. And when I landed, it knocked the wind out of me. It knocked.
Yeah, it broke your rib, didn't it?
Did.
That was the night
It
you
did.
broke your rib.
It broke my rib
yeah.
and popped.
You coughed up blood.
It popped over all the other ones. And Lex was the one who told me I did it. Because I was sitting out there. Like, I was probably out there for a minute or two, but it felt like I was out there for an hour. And I remember I just came hobbling in. And I don't even think I picked the snowboard up and brought it up. I think I just walked up the hill or crawled or whatever because it was fucking ice. And I remember I walked in. And she was sitting on the stairs because there was a pool table there. And I remember she was sitting on the stairs, and I go up and I just lean on the stairs, like in front of her. And she pulls her hands around me and she puts her hands under my shirt. And she goes, "What's that lump?" And I'm just sitting there, like, still trying to catch my breath. I'm like, "What lump?" And she lifts up my shirt, and there's my rib popped right up on top of the other ones. It's just going like kind of like a tic-tac-toe line, only one of them instead, just popping across all the ribs. And I looked down and I'm like, oh man, like my brain went, that's not good. She of course is popping off. You gotta go to the hospital. And I'm like, and I hated going to the doctor. Like I loathed it with a fiery passion. And I remember I was like, no, I'm fine. And in my infinite wisdom, I just took my thumbs and I pressed it at the top of the skin and I just pushed down until it found the place it was supposed to go into. And
I remember that.
Oh God. Do you remember the bruise I had on my side for like a week and a half after that?
I also remember you coughing up blood.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I coughed up a lot of blood that night. But man, oh God. And that bruise was brutal. I mean, it was I had a bruise there a lot longer than a week and a half, but like for that week and a half, it was like if anybody came up and just tapped me, I was crying because that's how much it hurt. Yeah, man, that was a good time. And then we went into Drunken Winter Olympics, so I didn't learn my lesson, did I?
No, we didn't. I mean, we say we survived. I'm not so sure I did. I might still be like kind of a zombie or a ghoul or something. Cause
yeah, I'm pretty sure we're actually.
I might not have survived.
I'm pretty sure we're actually dead. It's like that. It's like Beetlejuice, where the football players come in. Hey, coach, I don't think we survived that crash. Really? What makes you think that?
God, it's another classic we got to watch again sometime.
Oh,
soon.
You know what? We should do. We should have an episode of reviewing Beetlejuice. Or do we should just have an episode of watching Beetlejuice and just commentating over the whole thing? Because that's a classic movie.
Yeah, it is great.
Man, that was back in the day. That was Michael Keaton, of course. And you just forget how good actors are sometimes. Like you get so many
Yeah, especially the ones that are like chameleons. Like it's like, oh wait, that's so-and-so, and then it's like they don't get stuck in that like one persona, like that one characterization, that one type of person area. Like you can see like in almost every movie you get Tom Cruise.
Well, yeah, and like I love the man, but in every movie you get Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, I mean you get he's hilarious as Deadpool. I absolutely love it, enjoy it. But he's he's kind of the same. You take Sean Connery. You get Sean Connery in every movie, including some actors can adopt or lose accents. No, your Russian sub commander, a Spaniard immortal. No matter what it is, they got a Scottish accent. But some actors are just like they do anything, and they're convincing. It's like and then you got to go, oh wait, that was him or her. Or, Well,
yeah, like Ron Perlman. I love Ron Perlman. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah.
I fucking adore Ron Perlman, but there's like he's just on that cusp, because when you watch a movie with Ron Perlman in it, it's Ron Perlman. Like there's no hey, is that Ron Perlman? No, you look at it, that's Ron Perlman. Like see, he speaks and it's like, yeah, that's Ron Perlman. But he's got like he's got like an opposite side to it though, where he has a really dynamic range of where he can go. Like he can play a batshit crazy nuts guy. He can play Hellboy. He can play like the badass American sniper. Like, I mean, he's got a range there that makes him pretty impressive. But then you got people like Benedict. What the hell is it? Benedict Cumberbatch? Is that how you say his name?
Yeah, Benedict Cumberbatch. Yeah, he's Sherlock.
You get him, and you're like, wait a second here. Like, what? Wasn't he talking? He's an American, right? No, he's British. Holy shit!
Like Hugh Laurie, the guy that plays House.
Yeah,
sounds like some a-hole American doctor, and then you hear him, an interview. You're like, wow, is he British?
Hugh Jackman. Like, yes. I've seen Hugh Jackman in a couple different things. And so it was actually funny. Who the hell was I talking to? Somebody who was at the Fort Salem Theater, and they had an incredibly British accent. And then I found out they were actually British. But when I heard them on stage, they were speaking in an American accent. I had said, because, I mimic accents. But I don't think of an American accent. Like, an American accent to me, of course, is what I'm used to. So I don't even think of it.
To ourselves, we don't have an accent, and
exactly.
Then it's like everybody else is like, yeah, you do.
Yeah, you do. Have you heard when you have people from the South or people from the North talk? Yeah, you do. But supposedly an American
people just can't place mine.
But supposedly an American accent is one of the more difficult accents to nail. I didn't even know that.
Well, yeah, I mean, because not just is it but you've got such a range of accents. It's hard. It's like pick an accent,
Well, but
each have their complicated quirks. Like, I mean, take like a real heavy Bostonian accent, like a Boston accent. Some people, even in America, like, is that even English?
Oh, yeah, man. When you get like the cars in there, you like you get you got
pretty caught in the meat.
Yeah, you get that, and that's a really bad version of a Boston accent, actually. I can actually do a Bronx accent a lot more. Poking fun. But Bronx accents, I mean, I grew up around the Bronx all the time. I grew up like going down to Yonkers in New York City. So, Bronx accent, I got my ma. Like, seriously. Like, you want the Bronx. Like, her accent was the Bronx. But it didn't occur to me, like, when I was talking to them, it didn't click. And then I remembered all the different accents I do for an English accent. Because, like, there's more than one English accent I do.
Yeah, I mean, there's like what people around the London area.
Well, yeah. So
there's Brummie.
Well, yeah, so you've got like Ozzy, who's a Brummie, who's from Birmingham.
Yeah.
So you've got Ozzy's accent, but then you get like a South Londoner accent, and then you get like a Midlands accent, which Midlands accent, ironically, is the only one I can't do because that's the only one I don't actually hear. And I think you can figure out why. My dad's from the Midlands. I lived with him for so long, I don't hear his accent. So when I hear people from the Midlands, I don't physically hear their accent.
It sounds normal.
It sounds like a normal person talking to me. So I physically, and it's the weirdest thing in the world, and nobody believes me when I say it, or they just don't understand it. But when I sit there and I say, yeah, I can't hear, like, everybody says my dad has an accent, I can't hear it. And they're like, how could you not hear an accent? Like, because I live with him, I can't hear it.
Yeah, it's like, I'm sure to somewhere my parents have an accent, like to Southerners. I don't hear an accent from my own parents. That's pretty normal.
Yeah. Just super weird. Just super funny. Anywho, we actually have a topic for tonight. Oh, shit, I didn't even go to my state of games. Yeah, I haven't even finished
what's
the rest of your state of games, man?
You haven't even done yours. That had just been playing some, Final Fantasy, my little guy.
Nice. Final Fantasy VI.
Yeah, yes, the old school.
Final Fantasy VI Remastered comes out later this month, I think.
I think February 25th or something like that. It's later this month, yeah. I bought the whole package on Steam, so when that comes out, I just download it. And hopefully, Q2, I'm set. Hopefully. Get the Steam Deck, and I can take it on the go and kick back in my bed and play Final Fantasy VI.
Yeah. Dude, I am getting super stoked for the Steam Deck. Like, super stoked. I keep checking my email because somebody was saying, yeah, you've got 3 days to pay for it as soon as I tell you you can. And I'm like, pretty confident that's not the case. But now I'm really nervous, and now I'm checking my email like religiously going, did the email come in? Did I miss it? So I'm not missing it. This is my fucking Steam Deck. I'm getting this damn thing.
Yeah, seriously. But I mean, have you seen like the Linus Tech Tips?
I have, like the teardown of it.
Yeah, like where he goes, well, I don't think he pulls it apart, but he actually goes through all the specs and he actually tests it again for longer and runs it up against the other like handheld computer system that like 1,500 apiece, those other versions that are come out. And let me tell you that this thing is holding up really nice. Yeah,
all the devs who are programming for it and using it are saying it's legit. Now, I mean, it could be a whole bunch of hype. I don't know though, because I don't know Steam. Let me rephrase. I don't know Valve to go out there and pay for a lot of hype. Valve has always been kind of a, hey, look, this is what we got. Take it or leave it. We don't give a shit. We're making money anyways. So,
pretty much.
So I'm not 100% like. I feel good at believing what I'm hearing, and the Steam Deck seems to be legit, and I'm super stoked that I went out and I bought like that. I want to get the dock for it as soon as it comes out. I just hope the dock isn't like $200.
Yeah.
Because if the dock is $200, I'm going to be like sitting there going, God damn it. All right. So almost $1,000 for this setup. I could have just went and got the index. Damn it.
But I mean, if they do a good job with making compatibility and optimization, I mean, with this current Steam library, that's going to be a new system out with one of the biggest, or actually the biggest initial like libraries of any system. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of shovelware out there, but there's a lot of really great games. I was really happy to see that Terraria has been super optimized for it. Stardew Valley. Both of those, I was psyched for. I mean, wife and I play Stardew Valley still. Like to play that. We've been playing together actually a bunch of Breath of the Wild.
I got my card ready.
We played another. Nice. We downloaded. We started playing on a new Switch. We got the OLED model Switch.
Nice.
And she decided to start playing a brand new profile for Breath of the Wild to play it all over again because we've played the hell out of it. And now we're also the few Zelda amiibos we missed. We bought them up. I just got a couple of those in the mail. Where we're grabbing those up, opening up the ones that, of course, I don't have collectors hanging up. Or so some of them we're getting duplicates of so I can open them up and everything else. But we're trying to get everything because they give you special items in the game, like sometimes special clothing and armor.
Oh, nice.
So what we're doing is playing through it again, and we keep doing those because you can use them once a day, every day. And eventually you might get the special items, the super rare stuff like the full, clothing. Like we've got like the 8-bit Link, I think, can give you the old 8-bit Link style like clothing. And, so it's cool shit like that, So we've been doing that together, and we just, can't wait for the Zelda 2 to come out. I didn't finish it, the Nintendo Direct, but from as far as I got, that's just looking pretty damn sweet for Nintendo Direct. The one that just came out like 2 days ago.
I haven't watched any of it. I've been actually focusing on our topic for tonight, so I really haven't had a chance to watch anything else.
Once I saw that, I was like, yeah, I should get on the show. I'm actually going to be off. I'm not going to have overtime. That got canceled. And I was starting to do that work, and I was like, I better switch over and catch up on our topic. But I did see that, of course, one of the things coming out is on it. It would be a remaster of Chrono Cross, which makes me happy.
Yes.
I mean, one of my favorite all-time games is the Chrono Trigger, the original Chrono Trigger. And I know it's kind of a spiritual successor, not really a sequel or anything else, and it gets some flack. But Chrono Cross, I thought was a pretty dang good game, and I really like trying to get that. You didn't have to get all the characters and that variety of characters you can get. And it changes the storyline. I thought the graphics were nice. I like the battle. I like the spell system. Overall, I really enjoyed it.
I put Chrono Cross, and whenever anybody asks me, like, well, what's Chrono Cross? I always go, it's a sequel, and I'm doing air quotes, just nobody can actually see me, but I'm doing air quotes and saying sequel to Chrono Trigger. Because it technically is in the Chrono Trigger world?
Universe.
Yeah, I mean, it's happening. Like you actually figure, no spoilers, but I mean, granted, the game's old enough. I can spoil the shit out of it. I don't care.
It's a PS1 game originally. I think we're safe for spoilers.
I mean, basically, if you're listening to this and you're not old enough to have played it, then damn, you're probably listening to the wrong podcast because we're a bunch of old drunks here talking about games. But you find what was it? The picture with I think Luca and Robo. Luca, you definitely see in it. And I can't remember if you see the picture of Luca and Robo.
I'm pretty sure Robo's in it too, and I think there was a third person too, right, in the picture?
I don't remember the third person. I just remember those two sticking out in my head. Granted,
those two in Marla?
It might have been.
I gotta look at it.
Honestly, I have not played it since it came out on PlayStation 1. I bought it, played it, fucking beat it, and then I put it aside. I think I still have it upstairs on PS1. And if I do,
I still have it.
I'm gonna throw a picture because that'd be wild if I still actually have it upstairs. I still have my original Silent Hill, which I was impressed I still had that.
Yeah, man, I still have. Well, of course I do. I still have those in the shelf.
Well, what's do you have any other State of games before I cut you off and start mine?
No, I think we need to go on with the show. I mean, I think that's pretty much it because I haven't really been. I mean, I've been tinkering with other stuff, but nothing that of note, you know.
Well, I actually am not going to talk so much about what I've played recently because I really haven't played that much. I haven't even played Destiny like this week and last week. I got so sick and like it really just nailed me so hard and it just kind of sapped all my energy. And just trying to get back into the groove of things with work and stuff. So I've been I really haven't played much, but I want to say I am super excited right now for the gaming horizon. There's been a lot of great announcements. From Nintendo. I've heard buzzes around what Nintendo's doing. Haven't looked into it, but I'm super excited about it. The stuff that we've gotten from Sony and Microsoft. There's a new State of Decay that's been announced, State of Decay 3. I love the State of Decay games. State of Decay 1, while it was super repetitive, like it was really playing over and over, the mechanics of it were fun. And if you know me, if you've listened to me drone on before, you know that game mechanics are kind of my top thing. If the game feels good, by feels good, I mean like the mechanics are fun, I will play it all day long. That's why No Man's Sky, Sea of Thieves, those games have always grabbed me because they're fun mechanics. The base mechanics of it are good. And I've always enjoyed the base mechanics of State of Decay. So that they're getting a number 3, I'm excited about. State of Decay 2, when I first played it, I got to admit, I was a little bit disappointed because it was a real big buggy mess. Like to the point of I would get my truck stuck on like a rock in the middle of the road and I physically couldn't get past it. But yeah, so I'm super excited. Sony announced a whole bunch. They gave some more game footage for Horizon Zero Dawn, the new that new one that's coming out. The people who made Bloodborne, I'm forgetting the name of the game now, and it's driving me nuts. But they made the Soul series and stuff. They're releasing a new game that looks incredible.
Elden Ring.
Yes, Elden Ring or Elden
Ring.
Ring.
You know who else? Elden Ring. Yep. And you know who else actually worked on it? I believe.
Who?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they also got input from George R.R. Martin.
Oh, nice.
The guy that did Game of Thrones. So I mean, we might want to just Google it just to make sure I'm right, but I believe he was involved in it.
Well, you know what? If we're wrong, why don't you write in and tell us? Let us know. G.N.A podcast at G.N.A and your DNA.1. Write in, let us know if we're right or wrong. But I'm super excited. There's actually a game that's on the horizon, Starfield, by ZeniMax or Bethesda, whoever the hell it is. I'm super excited about that because it's going to be their first IP since Elder Scrolls and Fallout, and it's going to be their first new IP in a very long time. I'm a huge sci-fi fan. I'm a huge flying around space and explore shit fan. Been that way since I was a kid. So I'm really, really excited just about what's coming down the pipe. And I think if they can once the supply chain thing gets fixed and we can get more consoles into people's hands or more gaming PCs into people's hands, I think we're going to see a lot of great stuff coming. Not to mention that cloud gaming is making leaps and bounds. It's a super exciting time. My nipples are hard. I can't wait to see what else comes down the pipe. I've been getting into VR as well. AR, there's so much stuff coming down the pipe that is just absolutely fucking amazing. and I'm super excited about it, and I can't wait to talk about it as it does.
Now, let's just hope the world doesn't end before this shit comes out.
Dude, I don't think the sun's going to go supernova, and even if it does, we still got I think a decade or something after that happens before we'll actually be dead.
No, at this range, a supernova would wipe us out in one shot in a split second.
No, but it takes...
If it burnt out.
Yeah, it takes time for it to, drop down and then come out. It's like, oh crap, the star's supernovaing. It's not like it goes, oh my god, it's supernovaing, and then, it's flashlight and we're dead. It's like holy crap, that thing's supernovaing. And then it just slowly starts to shrink and shrink and shrink and shrink, and then pop.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the actual explosion, because is like you're gone in a sec.
The actual explosion is going to be like, hey, it's getting really hot. And then we're melted.
I was like, wait a second here. Light travels faster than that, my friend.
No, I didn't mean the actual explosion itself. I mean, when they figured it out. Because, the scientists have been able to look at a star and been like, holy shit, that thing's going to supernova. And there's, a decade later.
Within the next 100,000 years.
Yeah, a decade later. Hey, that thing finally exploded. Look at that shit. Look what just happened. But anyways, so we got a topic for tonight. And it's a topic that I'm a little bit passionate about. And I'm super interested to hear what you have to say. And I want my mind to change. So I'm gonna start there. I want my mind to be changed. So I'm going into this with an incredibly open and accepting mind. But we're talking about the Book of Boba Fett. Now, the last episode just came out Wednesday, so 2 days ago from this recording, because we record Fridays. So it'll be, 6 days when you finally hear the show, 6 days since the last episode came out. But the last episode of Book of Boba Fett came out. And the Book of Boba Fett is a spin-off series from The Mandalorian. And in The Mandalorian, you see Boba Fett show up with a Tusken Raider staff in black robes, with, what's her name? I always forget her name. Shen. Right? What's her name?
Female assassin, and now that you have a brain fart, so do I.
God dang it. All right, hold on. Now I got to Google this.
While you're Googling that, props to the original Boba Fett back in the Return of the Jedi, The Empire Strikes Back. And this ties into what we were talking about earlier. Jeremy Bulloch, he was actually a British actor. The original Boba Fett.
Oh, yeah? He was. Yeah. Oh, no shit. Fennec Shand. And I'm probably saying her name wrong, but some horrible names. But you see Fennec Shand and Boba Fett show up. And the one thing I remember to Fennec Shand, I'm horrible. So, let me label this out. I am horrible with names. I'll watch a movie, I'll watch a show for 22 episodes, and I will forget every single person's name. And I'll just be like, oh yeah, it's the fat guy with the mustache, or oh yeah, it's the bald guy with the weird eyebrows. That's how I'm a visual person. I think I'm dyslexic too, so I think that's how it all works out. But I'm horrible with names. So Fennec Shand, I remember her from, I want to say was it Clone Wars or Rebels? I remember her from one of the animated series.
Yeah.
Which one was she in?
I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, okay. We're both failing here. Let's move on.
Yeah.
So anyways.
Too bad we couldn't have had a cameo, but he actually, the original actor, actually passed away December 17th, 2020 in London.
Oh, that sucks.
So that'd have been really cool to get to see him comment on that, but side note, but...
shitty.
Such a fan of the original, so yeah, the original actors.
But anyway, so we meet Boba Fett and Fennec Shand in The Mandalorian, and he doesn't have his armor. And that's all part of The Mandalorian. He gets his armor. Oh shit! Spoilers! If you haven't watched the Book of Boba Fett or finished Mandalorian for some reason, get off your ass and start watching it. Don't listen to the show because it's a bad day. Anyway, so you see Boba Fett show up, and he and Fennec Shand just go ham. And when it comes to power scaling, like those two, but Boba Fett does some badass stuff in The Mandalorian. So they really set him up to be like impressive, like super impressive.
Well, then
so
again,
we get
I mean,
to,
he was notorious even in the originals as being one of the baddest bounty hunters in the galaxy. So you kind of had to.
one of the most ruthless bounty hunters in the galaxy. So then we start off the Book of Boba Fett. And the Book of Boba Fett literally takes off right after the last episode of Mando when he was in it. And they showed a clip of him taking over Jabba's palace. And it was the Twi'lek that was Jabba's like right-hand man. I forget what his name is.
Bib Fortuna.
Thank you. Bib Fortuna. So he goes there and I think that he kills Bib Fortuna and takes over, as basically like crime lord. And that's where we start out with the Book of Boba Fett. So it like takes right over. So let me start here before we start digging into this. What was your impression of the show? Like just as a whole, now that you've seen it all, what was your impression of the show?
I generally liked it. It had some action. It was pretty cool. Boba Fett, getting the whole after the Sarlacc pit, because as we know, like in the books and the comic books, forget the canon, not canon with Disney taking all that crap. But in the books, he was able to crawl out of the Sarlacc. He did live. He did survive. That was canon originally. So it's kind of cool to see that. And it's really cool because he loses an arm and all that. All that stuff happens. It's really cool to see him kind of get back into that, come back, as the badass bounty hunter. But the couple things I would have, like say with the show, is that I know you can change, but he seemed to go from the most ruthless bounty hunter to like somebody that's completely honorable, like more of a warrior and less of a ruthless bounty hunter and criminal. You know what I mean? It was a little bit too much of this honor thing and not enough ruthlessness. And also, it's like I don't think he was true Mandalorian, but he had the Mandalorian armor. But even in the originals, he like never took off his helmet. I know he lost it for a period of time. And in the show, one thing I felt was that it's like he took off the helmet to kind of make a big point. Like it's like when you do something that's supposed to shock to get your point across, but it became a shtick. Like he's constantly taking off his damn helmet, so it loses the punch. It almost seemed like they were taking it off to like a dun 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 big point, but they were doing it so much. It's like, you ever going to wear the damn armor? That's kind of the thing, is you always wore the armor. So that's a few things that I was like, there was plenty of, there's plenty of action and stuff like that. But there's a lot of it was pretty predictable. I still thought it was badass to ride the Rancor.
Let's break this down now. Okay. So first thing we start off with is, of course, him being new crime lord. And it is what it is. It's kind of like, it starts off like, okay, this is okay. We immediately get into a flashback of him getting out of the Rancor, which I loved. I absolutely loved it. I was like, holy crap. This is like, it started off.
You mean the Sarlacc pit?
Sarlacc. You said Rancor. My brain went Rancor. Sorry, Sarlacc pit.
Oh,
thank you for the correction.
Cool. Rancor's pretty cool, though.
Rancor is pretty cool. But, as soon as that started off, I'm like, all right, this is how I wanted to start off. My nipples are hard. Let's get this on. He gets out. And the first thing, like literally the first thing that my brain said as I saw him laying there and the Jawas were taking his armor, I was sitting there going, wow, he ate pretty well for being in a Sarlacc pit. Like, I thought he was supposed to be digested. He put on some calories there. Huh. That's weird. But I gave it the benefit of the doubt. I was like, you know what? All right, hold on. Let's get past the aesthetics there. Let's get past that whole thing. All right, let's try to get past that. Then he spends time with the Tusken Raiders. Now, the thing that bugged me there. So, okay, he's wounded, all right? Like, he's been in a Sarlacc pit. You're probably pretty fucked up from that. You've been laying out in the desert for whoever the hell knows how long. You're probably pretty fucked up from that. All of a sudden, he's just like, okay, why the hell did he not just kill that dog thing? Why did he leave that alive? Like my brain can't get around that. He's a ruthless bounty hunter. He's literally a merc for hire.
Yeah, that's pretty much my point, is that, ruthless to Mr. Honorable Warrior.
Yeah, like, when did that come into play?
I mean, I would think, like, say, you could say he start being a lot more, like, say, honorable maybe after the time with the Tusken Raiders, but he crawled out of the Sarlacc pit and suddenly had a change of heart, like, a change of personality.
Yeah, and then, so, I can totally get him being with the Tusken Raiders and, like, all right, I've got to get these people on my side because otherwise they're going to kill me. I get that.
And they can change, and you can start getting used to their culture and become kind of entwined, and you could, you start to change as a person, yeah. But you're not going to crawl out of the Sarlacc pit and be like, I am a changed man. Yeah. You're not going to go from, some, a petty thief to the most honorable police on the force. No.
No. No, and you see that later in the show, too, where he goes up and he's like, that's against the law. Bitch, you're a crime lord. What does that mean? You don't let any crime happen? Is that how crime lords work now?
And bitch, you are a fucking bounty hunter.
Exactly.
Skirting the law.
You got paid to bring people in.
Working for Jabba, one of the most ruthless, nasty, mean, and backstabbing crime lords that ever.
Working for the Empire. Like whoever had the money, you went. Like, that's it. So, I mean, and I'm giving, again, like, I watched it and I'm going, okay, I'm going to give this the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he was with the Tusken Raiders for, like, I don't know, 5 years or so or something.
They did mention in the show years. So I think that does span years.
But what I mean is, at the time when they show that flashback, it doesn't seem like he's there for years. It just seems like he's like, it seems like weeks type of thing. And the
or
thing
days
is,
or weeks, yeah.
Yeah, and like with his character, like with the physicality of his character doesn't go through years of aging when he's with the Tusken Raiders. It looks like weeks. Like he's wearing the same clothes. He never changed. And they still looked exactly the same. Not like I saw him wash the damn things ever. God,
that's why the Tusken Raiders really had that headgear and the thing. It was for the smell.
Yeah, it must have been. So I kept going, okay, I'm going to give this the benefit of the doubt. It started so good with him crawling out of that damn Sarlacc pit. I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt. Plus, it's Boba Fett. I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt. So then we skip on, all right? So, Tusken Raiders. Then they get killed. Whatever. All right. Don't understand the point to that quite yet. But I'm watching the show. So I'm like, okay, whatever. It's the biker gang. Whatever. They took time to introduce this biker gang at like way at the beginning. So I'm like, okay, maybe this was the use of the biker gang now. All right. And then I started getting a nagging suspicion that this whole story was going to be a revenge story. Like I'm getting back at somebody for doing me wrong. And maybe if they were able to like portray that time with the Tusken Raiders as actually being a long time, like building that bond, maybe it would have held a lot harder. But man, the one thing that drove me nuts about watching this series is, and I found out later why, but watching the series, every episode just seemed like it was like a fucking tree branch, only it was like the gnarly crooked tree. So like there was like things going all over the place. Every time I watch an episode, I'm like thinking, okay, we're going to go this way. And then it's like stark turns, like, whoa, we took a fucking left at Albuquerque there. Where are we now? What is this? Like, why the hell was he in a Bacta tank? Can you explain that one to me?
I mean, I can.
Okay, why was he in the Bacta tank? Like he's in Jabba's palace. All of a sudden, hey, I'm sleeping in a Bacta tank this whole time. I got to spend days in this Bacta tank. I got to sleep in here every night. Why?
Well, with the Bacta tank, the Bacta tanks help heal, and they're really good at healing, right?
I'm with you.
Well, when he took over Jabba's palace, it has a Bacta tank.
Okay.
So the reason why he keeps having to use it is because although they didn't portray it well, in the show, with as far as the makeup and everything else, his skin and flesh was partially digested. With the story in the books, also what they say in the show, basically damaged, years out in the sun, UV rays, damage, years of abuse on a bounty hunter body. So basically, he sleeps constantly in the bacta tank to help heal and help regenerate, help feel better. But it's not a perfect restoration. In fact, if you follow the story like in the original, Darth Vader, whenever he had the chance, he kept getting parts put off and put in the bacta tank. And it helped, but he never fully healed because his skin was still nasty and scarred even up until his death. But it helped. So he kept getting dipped in the bacta tank, and that was one of the theories, the fan theories too, is that by the time that he fight with Obi-Wan, he's very slow and disjointed. Well, at that time period, it's also a huge amount of time that it was at his like kind of home base, and he hadn't been in the bacta tank a while either. So it's another little thing on it, because and now in the expanding universe and all that stuff, the bacta tanks help, but when you're severely damaged, especially years of abuse, you have to keep using it like Darth Vader did. So he was using it to kind of keep his body together because he's older, he's beaten up, and it's helping, but it's not. It's just keeping him together.
See, now okay, so and somebody else said, oh, it was because he was in the Sarlacc pit and he was digested from it. But that doesn't jive, because if he was with the Tusken Raider for years, then that doesn't jive. He would have suffered from whatever bacterial or whatever ailment from that Sarlacc pit would have happened. It would have already been there. So that's why that doesn't jive to me, because if it's from the Sarlacc pit and the sun, that's why Darth Vader still uses, because it's too much damage to be cured, but it helps. It eases the pain and it helps a bit. So, I mean, it makes sense that he has to keep using it, that and years of wear and tear, that if it eases some of the pain and helps it a little bit. See, that would jive for me if he was getting into that thing the moment he got out of the Sarlacc pit. He's like, oh, I'm fucked up and I need to be in a bacta tank and I got to stay in here all the time because of it. But then they even say, during the series, he even goes, oh, I'm fully healed now. What?
Dang, I missed that part. Shit, I was probably distracted.
He actually said it, and that's what tipped me. Again, I was always going, give the benefit of the doubt. Give the benefit of the doubt. There's got to be something here. And then my brain was going, okay, maybe he was only with the Tusken Raiders for a few months. And that's, he was like, yeah, man, holy crap. I was in excruciating pain the entire time, but I pulled through, I endured, and now I'm in a bacta tank getting healed up. But no, if it's supposed to be years, something doesn't add up. That's why the show in general just felt to me so disjointed at places, because you'd go one direction and then it'd be like, okay, we're telling the story this way, and then it just seems like it would turn so hardcore.
Okay, so I've got a new theory for the bacta tank. So what you said, because I missed that part, I think it was distracted because I was multitasking too, so I think I missed that little phrase. They're using the bacta tank as a shtick. You're going with the story, but you have to keep doing the flashbacks to fill in what happened. So he's got to sleep in the bacta tank. So they have to justify this. So they're, he's so scarred, he's got to heal. And they forget about the fact that it's like, are you healed or you not? It's been years, or has it been?
I'll go with that. I'll go with that. Bad writing. I'll go with that. But that was But
let's face it, the writing lately in a lot of stuff, a lot of new stuff has been kind of
I thought
sketchy,
the writing in The Mandalorian was fantastic.
Yes, The Mandalorian, but I'm saying overall, a lot of these Disney productions lately have been some writing. It's kind of hit or miss depending on who works on them. You know what I mean?
So one of the things that, as I mentioned, one of the disjointed feeling of this show, I found out that almost every episode was directed by somebody new. There wasn't and double check me on this, because when I looked up and I was like, all right, who the hell directed this? Because there were some episodes where I was like, Jesus Christ, whoever directed this should be shot. And then I was thinking to myself, because I was talking to somebody today at work, and I said, yeah, who directed The Mandalorian? And he said, oh, it was Grace, and I forget her last name, but she was in Jurassic World. She was the one of the main protagonists next to Chris Pratt. And I was like, oh man, I find her attractive. That's great. I didn't know she was a director. Yeah, I think with my dick sometimes. So what?
I'm seeing
okay.
Deborah
Look
Chow.
up. Do this. Google who directed. Yeah,
there's a Robert Rodriguez. I am.
But
Who directed Book of Boba Fett? There's a Robert
Google
Rodriguez.
Who directed Book of Boba Fett Episode 1, and then who directed Book of Boba Fett Episode 2, then Episode 3, 4, 5. Do that and tell me what you're getting.
Okay, Robert Rodriguez for number 1.
There
Director
you go.
Steph Green for number 2. Number 3 is Robert Rodriguez
I think 4
again.
was Grace, whatever her name is.
4 is an error. Google. Play nice. Kevin
then maybe 5.
Tacharian
Maybe 5 was.
from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. 5.
That's her.
Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yeah, that's her. She's the main protagonist. I don't know why it has a Grace. Yeah, so like
And 6,
every
Dave
episode,
Filoni.
not every, like a couple of them were done by Rodriguez, but almost every episode was directed by somebody different.
Yeah.
And I like, right? Like it then makes sense now, right? Like watching it, you're like, oh, that's why. Like so, like every episode have like a really weird, different feel. All right, now let me ask you about this.
Yeah.
What did you think of the scooter chase? I can see it on your face. Dude, come on. It was lame as hell.
Scooters.
It was the slowest high-speed chase I have ever witnessed, ever.
I kind of found
Dude,
it at least
like,
comical.
I found it
though.
comical for about 4 seconds, and then it got cringeworthy.
Yeah. It's almost kind of like, when I was visiting our buddy Rick, right? And he's so proud of himself talking about riding and everything else, and he's got a scooter, and I'm like, aren't you not supposed to catch your friends doing this? Kind of like riding a fat chick, man. I mean, you're supposed to be proud of this. I mean, I grew up on motorcycles. I mean, although I can't ride anymore because the balance issues and the brain damage, and the back and leg damage, but it's like, my parents still ride. It's like,
yeah, don't show up on this. Don't show up on this.
You're gonna wear. Yeah. I wouldn't try to wear leathers and show up like a badass.
Don't start
any bars,
screaming
man.
ride or die, okay? But that was like that was the scooter scene, and I was just sitting there going, "Why aren't you guys riding in speeders? Like you couldn't afford it? Like it's a scooter gang? You had
No, I think that's.
Well, I mean, they were shiny.
They were broke, I guess. They spent everything on the little fancy parts, and then the fancy shiny
it was
scooters.
So bad.
Like
and then when they brought the scooters back later on for like the last episode, they weren't any better. It's like they didn't learn. Man. And then of course we've got Boba Fett turning into a nice guy, like an honorable guy. And then we get so that's like the first 4 episodes. All right, we get and also I gotta revert back to this because this is another thing that grind my gears. He hired all of these people to be his security, right? Like all these people to work for him, to be his goons, type of thing. Yeah, it's right. How the hell does a 9-foot fucking Wookiee make it all the way into his palace, all the way into where his Bacta tank is, to rip him out of it and beat the shit out of him?
Have you seen his guards?
Right?
They're driving shiny scooters. He's not exactly hiring talent.
Exactly, dude. And that was like that was another big gripe of mine. I'm sitting there going, how the hell does a 9-foot Wookiee make it all the way in there? Like,
But Cecil,
very sneaky. He's a 9-foot Wookiee. Exactly, like the bastard.
With battle armor.
Okay, first off, if it doesn't sound like too Dude, if it doesn't sound like
He rolled
corduroy
a nat
pants
20.
when that Wookiee walks, I mean, he's got enough fur on him. That's some coarse ass fur right there. You know he's got some dingleberries that are dangling and dingling too. If it doesn't sound like corduroy pants, like trying to start a fire when he's walking into that room, okay, I'm skeptical. Then you've got the damn battle armor. If that ain't making some noise, okay, that's strike number 2. Second, he's a fucking Wookiee. It's not like when he walks, he's tiptoeing.
You know what? Maybe he uses conditioner.
Did you
racist.
look at him? That fur has not seen a comb in a decade.
Yes.
All right. Now, let me get this straight though. Okay, I loved that character. Like that was the Wookiee character, and I loved it. But including ripping somebody's arm off. Now, that was like another big grind of it. And like every time you turn around, Boba Fett's getting his ass kicked. Fennec Shen was more badass in this series than Boba Fett was. Like, hands down. Way more badass. And she's supposed to be like his right-hand man or woman or whatever. Like, I like how they gave more story about like what happened to her and how like the gut wound and how she got rebuilt, and that's why she's basically hanging out with Boba Fett. I like the backstory there.
Yeah.
But man, like, she's badass, and I'm now looking at it going, man, she's more badass and ruthless than Boba Fett is. Like, she is the story that Boba Fett is.
They did have one good little battle scene where he was a little bit more badass, though.
Or which one? Okay, so but
him and the Mandalorian,
that's a completely different thing. But you also bring up another a great point. Throughout the entire series, he never uses his fucking jetpack, and except for the last episode. There are so many tactical advantages to using a jetpack.
Yep.
Even if like that first one when they showed up and they all had shields and they're all like electrocuting them and shit. Pop your friggin' jetpack, go above death from above. Fennec Shen can take care of herself. You take out some of those people from behind her, you get them to scatter, problem solved. Right?
I mean, he has all kinds of tricks and gizmos and gadgets for shit. I mean, he's been a bounty hunter for decades.
Tactically. Okay, so I listened to some guys at work before I even started watching it. I think I started watching it at when episode 5 was released. That's when I started watching it. Okay. So I heard people at work bitching and complaining and all this stuff. And I'm like, you know what? It's Boba Fett. It can't be that bad. And I am a person who always goes into anything with like the lowest expectations and like lowest hopes that you could possibly go to. I mean, I try not to get hyped on anything, just so that if I get in there and it's trash, I go, it was trash. Kind of expected it. Cool. But if it's great, I'm like, oh my God, that was way better than I expected. But man, there were so many things that I was watching and I'm going, like the speeder chase. I'm like, that is dog slow. His training with the Tusken Raiders. I thought, okay, that's pretty cool. He's learning a new skill. He's adapting into a culture. I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. That's some backstory here. But after that, it's just like, he's just getting the shit kicked out of him left and right. Oh, hey, here's some people with shields beating the shit out of him. Well, that sucks. One of them's getting away. Fennec, go get him. Okay. So she goes off and bees badass and goes get him. While he's sitting on the ground going, I'm going to die. I need to get in the back of the tank. Like, dude, if you were that wounded, how the hell did you last with the Tusken Raiders? He's middle-aged Boba Fett who like should lay off some tacos. Like that's number one right there, man.
Yeah, I mean the body type threw me off, but I didn't want to be like kind of that guy because it's like, you know what, they're finding an actor to play it. It's it's hard to hit a certain body type. I love that they got the actor that played Jango Fett, because Boba Fett is a clone of Jango Fett without all the restrictions put on there.
So, and I like it. And Jango Fett was a
Fett,
Mandalorian.
yep.
If I'm remembering correctly, he was an actual Mandalorian. Because that's why they wanted him. Because he was like one of the best fighters. The Mandalorians were the best fighters, and he was one of the best fighters.
So they cloned him and took out the free will and took out a few things.
But he said he wanted one.
Yeah, the
Boba
original
Fett
clone troopers. Clone troopers.
And I thought, I loved that. I loved that. It was just like a pure, unadulterated clone. So him coming back to play Boba Fett, best idea ever. Love it. Probably should have had the guy jump on a treadmill first. Or...
But he's also getting older too, so I can understand a little bit harder hitting that body type.
I mean, you got to spend enough money on CG. You could have done something to explain, like, why he got so big. Like, I don't know, maybe out with the Tusken Raiders, he chowed down a lot, or, you know, again, if you had extended out and explained that whole thing with the Tusken Raiders for a lot more, you might have been able to explain that away and made it believable for me, but you didn't. You spent time trying to explain other things that, well, I don't know. Didn't seem like they needed worth explaining. Like him getting the crap kicked out of him relentlessly every episode. I didn't think that needed to be shown every single time. Like, he's in The Mandalorian. He does some badass stuff in The Mandalorian. Like, really makes some things happen. And you're like, man, that's the Boba Fett I want. And then in his own show, it's like, what? What happened? So... Oh, 100%. Not the actor. As I said, I love that they chose the
writer's director. He's a great actor. Yeah, and choosing the same guy that obviously played Jango Fett.
100%.
Makes perfect sense. It was good casting. And we don't know. I mean, he could be having trouble getting kind of in shape. There could be a health issue, too. I mean, he is getting up there in age, too. So I'm not going to be too critical of that. I mean... And you want to lay off some of the CGI, so I'm not going to hold that too much. You know, I gave that the benefit of the doubt, but at the same time, I mean,
but it's after everything else in the show. Yeah, it's like one of those things of like, all right, I've tried to write off all these other things, but now I got to go back and take a really good, hard, scrutinizing look on these because, well, things are adding up. Like you get one thing, it's like I get benefit of the doubt, benefit of the doubt, benefit of the doubt. Then you're like, why isn't he using his jetpack? Like, he's supposed to be the most ruthless, talented bounty hunter. He's supposed to be this incredible fighter, and he's not doing any of that. Like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I was going in it because I'm a huge fan of Star Wars. I was going in it with an open mind and like hoping to enjoy it and trying to enjoy it, like, and I did like some of it.
Like here's another thing that grinds my gears.
But there was some stuff that kept nagging at me.
So let's just, for argument's sake, you're wounded. Okay, let's say you're wounded. You're horribly wounded, but you still got to get a job done. All right, you get thrown a curveball. Well, it looks like my physical prowess isn't going to be helpful here. However, I happen to be an incredibly intelligent person. Let me use, I don't know, tactics. Why don't we try using some of those things? I've got fun toys. Let me try using some of them. Why don't you try using some tactics on this thing instead of just going, I'm just going to stand here and get my ass kicked because I'm wounded and I can't go toe-to-toe with these guys. Like, they didn't use all of Boba Fett's assets. And one of his assets is his mind, like his tactical mind. Exactly.
There was a reason he was like the best and most ruthless out there, hired by Jabba and Darth Vader himself.
They didn't add up. And
they tried to change who Boba Fett is for the story. They tried to turn him into a ruthless bounty hunter, into a good guy and a hero of the story, instead of actually having a story of a ruthless bounty hunter
the shit
after he survived
for 40 minutes straight. Just person after person after person, and just being like, yep, I'm the new boss in town. You're all going to do what I do. Some Hutts show up. He beats the shit out of them. They run away. Oh, okay. Somebody shows up with a Rancor and is like, hey, I'm going to attack you with a Rancor. He tames the bitch and he starts riding it. Okay. I watched that all day long. You could have literally had Boba Fett say nothing and just kick the shit out of people. And I would have been like, give that man an Oscar. This is an amazing thing. I want to see more. Yeah, like literally.
Put that Hutt in the cargo hold.
Them changing the name of his ship, I understand why they did it. I understand why. I 100% understand why. I'm not going to say that
I can see why. With it,
I mean, but I understand why. I'll just leave it there. It would have been, but it also would have been.
Not have changed that would have been in this day and age suicide for the
true fans. I think that they would have stood up enough to say, "Hey, look, this isn't. We're not downplaying anything. It's not. Okay, yeah, we're in America. Slaves were a thing. Slaves were a thing all over the world for hundreds upon hundreds of years. It's not like let's say, thousands. Okay." So it's not like we have the monopoly on it.
Thousands, actually.
Okay, I understand. It's a sensitive subject, but at some point in time, we have to start looking at the future and moving past it and stop dwelling in the past.
In the Star Wars universe, a lot of these bounty hunters, who people are retrieving, a lot of the Hutts, they were all involved in slave trade, too.
Exactly.
Anakin's Anakin's mom.
But I can understand why they did it.
It all ties together. There was a lot of,
I'm not 100% on board. Like, okay, fire spray. That's actually kind of cool. I'm not going to lie. It's kind of a cool name. And it, the more I think about it, the more I say it, it kind of grows on me. So I'm okay with it.
It is.
I understand, but I have to point that out that they changed it from Slave One to fire spray. It's like, okay. Totally with you. But now, okay, hold on. Let's actually talk about that ship for a second. Can you explain to me how that fucking ship that has no visible thrusters on the front of it, all the thrusters are on the back end of that ship, how the hell it was able to hover over the Sarlacc pit with no discernible thrusters, with nothing showing how it's staying in the air? I want to hear your theory here.
Well, it's sci-fi. It's sci-fi, anti-gravity. It borrowed from the UAPs or the UFOs that they talk about in the news now. It's like no visible signs of propulsion.
When every other ship in the series, in the fucking universe, has something explaining how it can do what it does. And well,
they're just shitty aliens. The good ones are all the no visible signs of propulsion.
Right there is like
the good UFOs.
It was about that time that I really started to go, okay, whoever is directing this show, whoever is writing this show, like, you guys need to be brought back outside and just beaten, just maliciously.
That wasn't even my problem with the Sarlacc pit scene. That wasn't even my issue with it. I know he was out of it and he got beaten up a little bit, but he's sitting there looking for his armor in the Sarlacc pit. He woke up, saw the Jawa still in his shit, got knocked back on. I mean, I guess they can say, amnesia, but he got knocked back out. But I mean, it's like he saw the Jawa still in his shit. So why do you think, and you crawled out of it wearing it, why did you think it was left behind inside the Sarlacc pit when you crawled out of that shit wearing it? Even common deduction says, why would I take my shit off in the Sarlacc pit and try to crawl out and get burned by acid? Why would I leave it in there? Like, I don't have the energy to crawl, let alone take off my fucking armor.
The only thing that I gave...
So why am I looking in the Sarlacc pit?
I've given the benefit of the doubt on so many things. My brain went with, I crawled out of the Sarlacc pit. I'm covered in acid. And it reminded me of, do you remember the movie Aliens? When Hicks got that spray of acid on his chest and he immediately ripped off his chest plate because it was scorching him.
Of course.
That was where my brain went with that of like, all right, maybe he was thinking along the lines of, I was covered in acid, I stripped my armor off, and maybe it rolled into the Sarlacc pit. That's where I went with that. And like, bear in mind, I spent a lot of this show trying to devil's advocate myself into liking it. And there were parts of the show that I liked. I'm not going to say that I'm not going to say I didn't like all of it. But as a whole, it left me wanting. Now, let's talk about episode 5 of the Book of Boba Fett, or as I like to call it, season 1 or season 3, episode 1 of The Mandalorian. Boba Fett wasn't in the episode at all. Like zero. I think they mentioned his... Yeah. So it literally, like, the show turned into from the Book of Boba Fett to Grogu and Friends. Like, that's what the show turned into. And I can't say that I thought of that myself. I actually stole that specific Grogu and Friends from when I was looking up what was it? I was looking up something about episode 5, and I couldn't write. Oh. I was looking up who was the actor Grogu's who played popular and he's Luke cute. Skywalker, because I know Mark Hamill did the voice, but I was looking up the actor who actually played him. Yeah, that's actually Mark Hamill's voice.
What? Are you smoking?
No. Who played the actor?
No.
Who played Luke Skywalker in episode 5 of The Mandalorian? Not episode. No, sorry. Who played Luke Skywalker in episode 5 of the Book of Boba Fett?
Oh, of The Mandalorian. I thought you said, like, who played Luke Skywalker. Yeah, you just threw me off so bad. I was like,
sorry, not episode 5.
I don't remember
not episode 5. You're
Luke
right.
Skywalker and The Mandalorian, episode 5.
Yeah, that was a faux pas on mine.
Episode 5, though.
But
yeah, I was like,
so I was trying to look that up, and when I looked that up,
and then my brain went to the old stuff.
I was reading
Luke
something of somebody, and somebody called it Grogu and Friends. I was like, yeah, dude, you know what? Like, it literally is. It's turned into Grogu and Friends. And when they ended that episode of Luke, that episode ended, and Grogu had the choice between choosing the Mandalorian armor that Dijon, or what's his name? Dijon? Mando made for him. I said I'm horrible with names. Don't fucking judge me. And or go with a lightsaber that Yoda had, which I looked at. I'm like, oh, that's badass. It's Yoda's lightsaber. And then my brain went, wait a minute. How the hell did he pick up Yoda's lightsaber? You never saw that. What did he ransack Yoda's hut after he died? Like, what type of weird ass shit is that? Please tell me Yoda came back as a Force ghost and said, hey, right in here, this box, open it up. Yeah, that's mine.
Yoda.
What am I missing? That's what I mean.
You're missing
where
something.
Where did it come from?
Yoda in the original movies, Yoda didn't have a lightsaber, right? Yeah, but if you go to the prequels,
then where the hell
right?
did he get it?
He lost his lightsaber in the duel with Palpatine.
So where the hell did he get
and
the
that lightsaber eventually got thrown in the big melting thing like the rest of them.
See?
That's my point.
Like
magician's
Luke's,
butthole, man. It's like magician's prison wallet.
I guess lightsaber
fucking
from
abracadabra.
Empire Strikes Back ending up back in Rey's hands. Okay, like that's logical because it was lost in Cloud City. Somebody ended up finding it. Like that would be one of those things of like, oh man, guys, check this shit out. I got this fucking laser sword. Check it out, man. This is awesome. Like that I could see getting thrown around the black market until somebody finally had a use for it. But Yoda's, back when Order 66 is going on, like something's not right here. And even, but let's just even say, that it
as
didn't
far as I
get
knew,
destroyed.
Yoda's
Somehow
lightsaber was
Yoda
destroyed.
got his hands on it after getting to Dagobah. Okay, so like after he made it all the way to Dagobah, he somehow got his hands on it. That meant like Luke ransacked his hut. Yeah, that, or there's like, oh, hey, you know what? Luke found it in the black market and is like, holy
Fucking
shit, I
Amazon's
know what this
everywhere,
is. And
man.
he picks it up and Yoda shows up and Forrest goes, yep, that's mine, dude. Yeah, that's, hang on to that. That's, thought I lost that a long time ago. Yeah. Yeah. Something like
mine
that.
it is.
Dude, you know what I want to hear?
You must.
Grogu, like, just saying that. I'm talking like Yoda. I desperately want to hear Grogu come back and be like, the way it is. You know, like, it's like, because Mando's going, it is the way. I want to hear Grogu, like, belt that out in, like, the Yoda style of talking. That would make... That would hit all the buttons right for me. It really would. But anyway, so episode 5 goes by, and it's literally the whole episode's about Mando. Like, it's following Mando.
It would be funny.
Like, it's literally season 3, episode 1 of The Mandalorian. Like, you could literally just turn around, start up season 3 of The Mandalorian, and show episode 5 of the Book of Boba Fett, and I don't think anybody would, like, bat an eyelash. They'd be like, yeah, that's episode 1. That's what I thought. Right? Yeah,
Cost saving, right?
Yeah, we'll just throw it in.
We're supposed to have 6 episodes.
Yeah,
Shit, we only made 5. Stick this right in there. They won't notice.
Yeah, or it's like they were sitting there going, like, the Book of Boba Fett. How many episodes are we going to do? 7.
Grogu is pretty
they get all
popular
shot
right
and
now.
done. They're like, shit. We only did 5 episodes. Well, how many were we supposed to have? 7. Oh, shit. How are we going to fix this?
Quick, count. How many do we have?
Well, are we shooting anything else
6,
that's anything like this?
Yeah,
well, we're shooting The Mandalorian.
Well,
yeah, let's go do that. Let's take that. What, we're just going to take 2 episodes from what we're shooting on The Mandalorian and put them in the Book of Boba Fett? Yeah. Can we do that? We're Disney. We can do anything. Like,
we own it all, so let's just borrow it.
It's like when Metallica was
episode,
creating the Unforgiven 2.
Fucking
like,
Beauty
man,
and the Beast.
that sounds way too much like Unforgiven. Hey, wait a minute, it's my own song. I can rip off my own song. So, I mean, episode 5 and 6 were...
Seems fine. I can rip off my own shit.
Basically about Mando. Like, they were... In episode 6, you finally get some more Boba Fett in there, and it's very little, but it's still really following Mando at this point in time. But... Yeah. Well, episode 7 is still... I mean, the last
even the very end is following
that.
Mando and Grogu.
But... Yeah, they literally are following. Yeah, they're in space.
No, I mean, literally, at the end of episode 7,
so, I mean,
they're literally...
Like, watching the Book of Boba Fett, I really just got the feeling that it was... Like, they say it's a spin-off to The Mandalorian. It really just felt to me like it was a long explanation of a side quest for The Mandalorian. Like, okay, this is one thing that also grind my gears. Oh, go ahead.
Also, a cash grab. Boba Fett, legendary thing. Oh, let's throw that with a Mandalorian. Another Mandalorian style, person, Mandalorian armor.
He's fighting
Felt
the
like
other
just a cash
Mandalorians.
grab, really.
And she had the Smith Mandalorian. I forgot what the hell her name is. But she says, "Did you take off your helmet?" And he's like, "Yes, I did." He's like, "Well, you're no longer a Mandalorian." Why did he not just pull out the Darksaber at that point in time and be like, "Well, I'm pretty sure I am, since I'm holding this, and this makes me the leader of the Mandalorians. So, yeah." Like, seriously, why didn't he just do it? Like, why didn't he just pull this thing out? Like, hey,
once again.
What does this mean then? Like, he just tried to fight me.
I thought never taking off the helmet was supposed to be more of a myth, because you got to take. You got to go to sleep. Something you can't wear it 24/7 forever,
unless that helmet's got like an auto cutting sequence in it. His hair was cut.
So I mean, it was supposed to be more of like a myth, like you just never, because they always wear the armor out. You never see them vulnerable. You never see their face, but
and
you got to take it off eventually.
The what's his face? The leader of the Mandalorians. So it's like something doesn't make sense. Like I totally get the code. I totally get the way. I totally get the rigid code of like, hey, look, they're like the Thieves Guild. We've got these rules. We don't fuck over ourselves. We always come to help. Touche.
Jango Fett didn't take his helmet off, but he took his whole head off. Rolling around a little bit. Yeah, there was just... and then Episode 7 is, of course, the big fight scene, and they're trying to do everything that they can to redeem the show at this point in time. Like, 5 and 6 with Mando, I gotta admit, I enjoyed them. But I enjoyed them because it was The Mandalorian. It wasn't the Book of Boba Fett. And I hate saying that because I really wanted to enjoy a show about Boba Fett. Like I was the old canon of where he crawled out of the Sarlacc pit and like all of that stuff that happened. Super exciting. Like I was really excited about all that. And I was really excited about seeing a live action version of that. I'm not sure where it is anymore, but did you know that whole
I remember
book
being in a comic.
What happened to Boba, that whole book series?
Of him crawling out of the Sarlacc
I had
pit.
it in high school and I read it.
I don't remember the book. Yeah, I don't remember that. I do remember
had it in a
the
book.
comic of it.
I actually had the book. They actually had a novel of it. So it was a book first, I think, and then they did the expanded universe for the comics. But it originally was in the book. And I had the book and I read through it.
Well,
it was because I used to have it.
I'm going to say skeptical about it. I'll look it up.
Yep.
All
right. This is how.
Yeah.
This is how long ago it was. It was on my bookshelf, right? That you remember the old house at my parents' house, right? And that far side on the left, you had the built-in like kind of bookshelf above the cabinets. I had the book right there, along with lined up when I was young enough to have all my Ninja Turtles figures and that stuff still lined up, but I was still playing with those. So that was even before high school. Before I switched it over for all the gaming stuff.
I'm looking it up now because I distinctly remember, and I remember it being
a long
ass time ago. I don't remember if it was high school or not, but I do remember it being. I do remember the comic. Let's see here. Release date, December 1st, 1995, published Tales from Jabba's Palace, 26 pages. J.D. Montgomery appeared in Tales from, which is published by Bantam Spectre. It tells the story of Boba Fett escaping the Sarlacc. All right, so you got to come up with a book because here's this comic. Oh, let me make sure. Well, yeah, 26 pages. I don't think 26 pages is a book. All right. Give me the book.
No, I'm not referencing the comic.
Hold on. Artwork from a story essential. No, I think you're right. I may have found it right here. The Bounty Hunter Wars and later Legend works do not reference this. Okay, hold on.
Yep, the Bounty Hunter Wars.
Fett's battle with IG-88 was later portrayed in the comic. No, that's IG-88. Yeah, great show right now, guys, as we're sitting here searching for this. All right, well, okay, let's bench this and we'll look at it after the show to figure out. But anyway, so Episode 7, you've got the big fight between the Pike Syndicate and Boba Fett's gang. And it starts off with, so end of Episode 6, you get Cod Bane. I think it's Cod Bane. I think that's his name. He was in Rebels, but he was the bounty hunter that was in Rebels. And he was a badass. Like, he was a gunslinger, super badass in the show. Really glad that they kept the same voice actor for him, because that definitely hit. He looked a bit different, but I was okay with him looking different. I wasn't really too dead set. Like I wasn't married to his look anyways in the animated series, but you always change stuff when you go live, whatever. Anywho. So Cad Bane comes in and wrecks the I think it's now called Freetown or Free City or Freeport or something like that. But it was originally the guy in the Mandalorian who had his armor, who had Boba Fett's armor. They go and visit this guy because Boba Fett visits him, Mando visits him to try to recruit him to come help fight the Pike Syndicate. So Cad Bane goes out there, basically wrecks house, kills his deputy, and you think kills the sheriff. I say that because at the end of the Book of Boba Fett, there's somebody, Boba Fett even makes a reference as he's rolling his shoulder that the Bacta tank is being used right now. And it turns out that it's being used by the sheriff, and the same modder who fixed Fennec Shand is like there standing over the thing. So I think if they continue on with the Book of Boba Fett with another season, I think we're going to see more of that sheriff. Even if we don't, I'm hoping that we see more of that sheriff in Mando and they explain a little bit more onto it, because I really did enjoy that character. I really enjoy that actor, to be 100% honest. He was in, the Santa Clarita Diet next to Drew Barrymore. He was in I Am Number 5, even though his I Am Number 5 movie was fucking trash. I think that was terrible compared to the book. But anywho, I'm digressing now. But you see, they introduced Cad Bane, and in the final episode of the Mandalorian, the Book of Boba Fett, you get the big fight. Cad Bane is in there. And again, spoilers if you haven't figured it out already. Cad Bane actually ends up dying in this one. Boba Fett kills him. And I'm going to be 100% honest. It was the lamest fucking death. Like, he definitely deserved way more. And they even referenced that they're getting older. But he deserved way better of a death than Boba Fett pulling out his Tusken Raider fucking staff, which I didn't even see he had on him. Like, I did not notice he had the damn thing on him. All of a sudden he pulls it out and he starts beating the shit out of him. I'm like, what the fuck? Where did that come from? So I gotta go back and watch the episode to see if I can catch that. But it did have a pretty interesting scene. I'm not gonna say, the concept was cool. I think the execution was poor. Him riding on the Rancor. Like, they set that up in an earlier where he's like, I want to ride it. Teach me to ride it. But they don't show him actually learning how to ride it, which was, I don't know, it was mildly annoying that they didn't show him how he actually rides it, or how he learned how to ride it. So that was a little annoying. But he comes in and, of course, he rides it. They do this big fight scene with some robots, and it was cool. Watching the Rancor fight the robots was badass, I'm going to say. Him riding on it, those scenes where they show him riding on it were really lame to me. But when they do the pan out shots of the Rancor actually fighting the robots, that was badass to me. Yeah, it was like,
yeah,
there
I
was
like
some
the Rancor
fun
scene.
there.
I mean,
I
that
definitely
would be
did enjoy
cool.
that. I thought that was really fun. But then, they end the big old fight with him fighting Cad Bane, and literally he's getting his ass handed to him again. And then all of a sudden he just whips out the Tusken Raider staff. And then he's just a bat. It's like, it reminded me.
Staff. Yeah,
okay,
and he's badass again.
That scene right there reminded me. Remember Ben Affleck's Daredevil? Where, okay, yeah, I enjoyed the movie, but that's just because I liked the character Daredevil, so I was just really excited to get a Daredevil movie. But you got to point out, he's sitting there in the church, and you see everything that led up to there, and he's dying, and he's laying on the ground. The pastor's there like, oh my God, Matt, you're really bad. I'm going to start saying your last rites type shit. And then he gets up and has this big badass battle with Bullseye. And it's like, where did that come from? You were just dying 5 seconds ago and now you're up and you're feeling pretty spry. Meth.
And there's only like one logical explanation for that. Well, I was actually going to say you get a burst of adrenaline, but usually when you get a burst of adrenaline, push a damn
your body already checked out. It's like, hey, look, you're actually dead.
You're
We're just
already
gonna
dead.
keep going until we burn through this last little bit of juice. Yeah, exactly.
Which is possible with adrenaline, but at that point, you've done so much damage, you're not surviving
the Netflix Daredevil series, like, I loved that because that showed him getting the crap kicked out of him, and that's sheer exhaustion. And then just like the bursts of energy that he would just pull out of, that literally would seemingly come out of nowhere. But that's those bursts of adrenaline that just, you get, boom, they just hit and you just strike. And then all of a sudden your body just goes, hey, guess what? You're actually pretty fucked up. You got to rest here for a second.
And also, even when you get past too exhausted to use the adrenaline, like Batman. He was exhausted after fighting everybody. Then Bane snapped his back.
Exactly.
That's a little bit more realistic.
That's one of the things. But
now you
lost. In his last fight with Cod Bane, it was just like, and if I'm saying it wrong, just somebody come right in and yell at me. Sorry. As I said, I'm horrible with names. That might be Codpiece. I don't know.
All I could think of this entire time is Codpiece.
As a whole, like I really wanted. I went into Book of Boba Fett with not high hopes because I saw him in The Mandalorian. And I was like, man, that's badass. But I looked at him and said, wow, he's put on some weight. Like, man, I hope they explain that type of thing. So I went in with mild hope, but really low expectations. Yeah. Exactly.
Because usually actors do get in the proper shape for the character for a reason.
I remember him in Mando,
normally.
whatever episode it was in Mando, where he's like running down the hill and he's doing that kind of waddle run down the hill. You know what I'm talking about? Like when you're a big guy and you do that kind of like waddle run. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you can go fast, but once you start peaking at some speeds, it turns into like a waddle run. Like that's what I watched. And I'm like, I hope they explain that. Like, I want the story here. But also, if he was with the Tusken Raiders for like 5 years, there's a ton more of Boba Fett without his armor. Like, there's gotta be a ton of story of Boba Fett without his armor. And I'd love to see that. Like, there's gotta be something there. But the last episode, we kick in and the big fight scene, Boba Fett, of course, the underdogs win. Mando shows up, then, and Mando's still doing his whole code of honor thing. And even when the chips are down, Mando's like, no, I'm not, I'm here. I'm staying. And at first, where I was really worried, in The Mandalorian, Boba Fett kicked ass. I was like, wow, Boba Fett's kicking major ass without his armor. And Mando's struggling. So if they fired up into Boba Fett series and Mando started really kicking ass with Boba Fett struggling, that was going to be a huge red flag for me. I was happy to see that Mando was still struggling. Like he wasn't doing really, really well. Like he wasn't like so overpowered that he was like, exactly. Like he's still the Darksaber, and that's
he
one of the
wasn't
things
Goku
actually
to Krillin.
For writing wise. Okay, I'm gonna actually give them props for this piece of writing. When he hurt himself with the Darksaber, when he burnt his leg,
they followed through with that.
That right there was like, that's realistic. I would expect that to happen because it's basically like a lightsaber, but different. Okay, not ever like it's. Mm-hmm. You don't inherently, just because you know how to use a sword doesn't mean you know how to use a lightsaber. Just because you know how to use a staff doesn't mean you know how to use a lightsaber. Just because you know how to use a club doesn't mean you know how to use a lightsaber. You could be the best swordsman in the world. Does not mean you know how to use a lightsaber.
Because there's different styles of sword fighting. When you press that on your arm, you're like, things. Fuck, I just lost an arm.
There's a whole lot of different things when it comes to using a bladed weapon versus a plasma blade. exactly. So when he burnt his leg,
a very hot
just
blade
like
weapon.
fucking up, that right there, I was like, oh, I'll give him that. Like okay. He doesn't really know how to use it. He's still learning. I expect
that was good.
Also, that they gave a backstory to the actual blade itself. Like, did you catch that? How the blade itself almost has like an essence or a life of its own. So Mando was trying to use it, and he's talking about it getting heavier. Yeah. And then the one woman was describing. She's like, "Well, it's because it doesn't like how you're using it. It's not the blade itself. The blade isn't getting heavier. It doesn't like what you're doing. So it almost gives it like it's got some sort of sentience to it of like, yeah, like Soul Reaver. Like there's something in it that says, hey, I don't like what you're doing, so I'm going to make this more difficult. And even when the other,
it's a legendary darksaber. It's supposed to be like more intimidating than lightsabers.
I think one of the other Mandalorians got their hands on it, and everything they
else.
Were literally like thrusting it around like it was a heavy claymore versus what you would expect, which is just the weight of a handle. Because that's all it is. It's just the weight of the handle. The blade effectively has no weight.
Some mysticism and magic behind it, kind of like, like in the Star Wars universe, originally was like more mysticism and less the crap they tried to explain with midichlorians. But originally it was more of a mysticism, kind of like Excalibur. It's like some scrawny kid is able to pull it, but even the most muscular man couldn't pull the thing out the rock.
The romance of it, I guess. You've got a laser sword, and like not anybody could just pick it up and use it because, well, not anybody can. Now, I will say though, the one thing I did like about and people can argue with me on this all they want, I don't care. But in the new series, in the sequel trilogy, where Finn actually picks up the lightsaber and rudimentarily uses it. But the reason I like that is because if you saw them flashing back to training sessions as stormtroopers, they were effectively being trained in how to use most weapons. So a sword or a club or something like that would be something that they'd be taught in. So
yeah, for just rudimentary training on some of the base weapons you might come across, because some of these worlds still have
them using that.
You might have to use what you find,
picking up and using it, like physically using it and being mildly effective with it, basically not decapitating himself with it. I was like, okay, exactly. Like, yeah. Like could
not an
he
expert,
take on
but not like
Kylo
hurting
Ren?
himself?
No,
yeah, he's somewhere in the middle.
Obviously, he could not, because Kylo Ren's trained on how to use the damn thing. Rey should not have been able to take out Kylo Ren either. That's a completely different story, though. But Finn picking it up and using it just in general, okay, I can get behind that. That's why when Mando picked it up, like everything you see Mando using is not a blade. And if he is using something like a blade or a club, he's very sloppy with it. So him picking up the darksaber and like burning his leg, like that made sense to me. That was like, okay, I see that. I like that. That's a piece of story that's a piece of writing that I can get behind. I think would actually happen. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just ranted on a bunch on how I've not liked the Book of Boba Fett. And I really want to say it boils down to like, I don't know if it was so much bad writing as bad directing. Maybe there was a lot of that. And I mean, there was some really bad writing too. But really, who makes a show about a bounty hunter and then doesn't just have him kicking ass the entire time? Like, were they just trying to humanize him? Was that it? Like, was that the goal?
I think that's the main thing, is they were trying to kind of humanize him. I mean, everybody likes Boba Fett, but I think they were trying to bring like the human side to him. That's probably what they were doing. That's what I got, because I mean, they started to give him like feelings and honor. It's like, I mean, in the original Star Wars, it was like, he was a ruthless bounty hunter. That's about. I mean, he was popular. I have 2 of the original figures still, but it's not like he got a ton of screen time. I mean, he chased after, captured, took Han Solo or whatever, but it wasn't like, he played a super, super major role throughout that. You know what I mean? He was a supporting character, and I mean, in this day and age, they're trying to humanize and turn this this heartfelt story, human story and human trial and tribulation and getting better to every fucking thing. It's like, can't we just have a fun, ruthless bounty hunter? But they're trying to add this, humanity and feel good story to fucking everything. It's like, he's a ruthless bounty hunter. He's not going to get half digested by a sarlacc and then suddenly turn a leaf and be like, you know what, now I'm a super honorable nice guy. I mean,
him becoming a bounty hunter in the first place, I can track that. Especially with how they dealt it with the prequels. He saw his, quote, quote, father get killed by the Jedi. Like, that would make anybody pretty sour towards Jedi. Yeah, effectively.
He's a clone. He saw himself getting beheaded by a Jedi.
Effectively, yeah. When he grew up, all of a sudden he's like, wow, I really look like Dad. But like, I can see like that path going to bounty hunter, becoming a ruthless bounty hunter. I can track that. He watched his dad die, and basically now he's alone and has to fend for himself. Maybe he somehow manages to get in touch with somebody else, or somehow somebody raises him a little bit, but still the orphan path to a bounty hunter, I can track. It's the tragic backstory that led him there. Okay. So that explains why he's ruthless and why he's, explains definitely why he hates Jedi. Why he would go and hunt down a Jedi or something. Like, 100%. I'm with you 100%. Tracking. Love it. I am following you 100%. Where did he turn around though? Like, that's where, like, were they trying to say that he was always this honorable guy? That's where my brain just like it breaks because I can't figure it out. Like, I took all the extended universe shit and I put that aside. Mostly because it's been so long since I read it, I didn't remember a lot of it. But I put all of that I possibly could aside. So the essence that I had from the books and from the comics of Boba Fett, I didn't have, like, that stigma wasn't there. So I was going into this as fresh as I possibly could. But I was still going in there with, this guy's a ruthless bounty hunter. Yeah, some prejudices. Like, the guy's still a ruthless bounty hunter.
Some prejudices.
He still shows up and he shows up and he kicks ass in Mandalorian. End of that, he goes over and he kills Bonton guy, or whatever the fuck his name was, to take over Jabba's palace. Like, all right, he's showing that he's still, Bib Fortuna, that guy.
Bib Fortuna.
Yeah, whatever. Bib Fortuna. Yeah.
Bonton. He's now Bonton.
Yeah, Bon guy. Yeah, Bib Bon.
Bonbons.
Well, anyway, so he goes and kills Gold Bon. And then, like, it's still showing, like, okay, he's badass. Like, he was badass in Mandalorian. He's showing that extension that he's still badass. He's a little fatter of a badass, but he's still a badass. It's like, okay. And then, like, we just decided that we're now going to humanize this guy and make him, likable? People liked him already. Yeah, like, people liked him. They liked that he was a badass. Like, you're not going to scare all the nerds because you've got an alpha style male being portrayed on screen. We liked him for a reason. You could.
I mean, I can see if after getting half digested by a sarlacc, you're like, fuck this shit, I'm retiring, but not suddenly like, you know what? I'm going to be a super nice guy. Hey, you're pretty badass and pretty tough. You going to be able to, like, stand up for people and win some fights? I'm going to get fucking beaten to shit, man.
I'm not going to go out there and beat people up.
I'm not going to fight back.
Be a human punching bag. That's why I have this armor. It can absorb a lot of blows. Like, really.
Well, in boxing, you got Mike Tyson. Yeah, that's what you were like, right? Yeah. Well, you see, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to be Homer Simpson. I'm just going to get the shit kicked out of me
exactly.
all the time and just wait for everybody else to get tired and give
I'm
up.
going to be the ear that Mike Tyson bit. Yeah, I just did. Like I so desperately wanted to like this show, and like seriously, I did. I did. I enjoyed spots.
And I enjoyed spots.
I will 100% agree with you. I definitely enjoyed spots of it, and I enjoyed a lot of the characters that they introduced.
I also enjoyed like you go back to that first scene, the Sarlacc. He's still in the Sarlacc pit. I did love the fact that pulled the air from the stormtrooper, and because he knows they got air, and start breathing in some fresh air to help kind of give yourself a little boost to get out of there.
It started off fantastic.
That started off so well.
As I said, my nipples were hard watching that. I'm like, oh yeah, here we go. All right, we're starting this right. And then it was just like a stark drop off after that, man.
Then it's like, Jawas beat him up too, and take a shit.
Exactly.
He got mugged by Jawas, and it's like, well, he's pretty crippled. Okay, so I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go get my armor. You're gonna go beat up the Jawas?
Yeah, like,
no, you went to the fucking Sarlacc pit. Like, almost got eaten the second time.
He did wake up. He saw Jawas. He knew he was like, okay, the Jawas stealing his shit. I get it. Like, I just crawled out of a Sarlacc pit. I'm in pain. Like, I'm hurt. I've been breathing sulfuric acid for like whoever the hell knows how long. I am hurting. I get that. I'm with that. I'm on board with that.
You're weak enough to get mugged by Jawas. Yep, I'm on board with that.
Yep.
What do you do with the headbed?
I'm still on board with all that. You get captured by Tusken Raiders.
But that's a detail you'd think he'd remember.
Maybe if you were with them for that long, maybe, just maybe, you might ask them at some point in time, when you've got a rapport with them. Hey, you remember when you found me? Where was I? Oh, you're at the Sarlacc pit. Yeah, were there any other tracks around me? Yeah, big fucking sandcrawler thing that the Jawas use. Huh, okay, let me go find them. Like, simple lines of questioning that you might have done. But again, they didn't. But again, they didn't tell you, like, where
did my armor go?
Their timelines. They did not do it well. Because it seemed to me like it was the Jawas came, grabbed a shit, and within a day, or less than a day, the Tuskens picked him up.
Well, that had to have been, because there's no way you could have sit there and laid there for a week and not died. So it had to be day. But after that, supposedly he spent altogether, was supposed to be, I think, years with the Tusken. I thought he mentioned even later in the show, he spent years with the Tusken Raiders.
Along with it a whole host of other questions, a whole host of plot holes there. But let's just assume that the Tuskens did pick him up within 24 hours. A big sandcrawler would have left a lot of tracks. They probably would have been noticeable for 24 hours.
You know what? I don't think they would have been super noticeable depending on the sand for 24 hours.
Remember in the original one. But remember in the original series, or the original trilogy, when they went back and found the sandcrawler blown up, and it was sitting there. They found it when they came up to it. Mm-hmm. There were tracks leading all the way up to where it was blown up, and they had left like days before.
Yes, in the originals, but in reality, are tracks like that going to stay in sand with the blowing desert winds?
Well, I can tell you from experience in the desert. No, these tracks aren't exactly like a footprint. These tracks are, this is like dozens of meters wide.
Well, but in the desert, man, one of the hardest things to do, one of the reasons you get so fucking lost in the desert is entire sand dunes move. Nothing stays the same. So literally you'd be like, it does move a lot of sand depending on the winds and how windy it is. It moves a lot of sand, surprisingly enough. I would think, though, depending on the time frame, there might not be obvious tracks, but the Tusken Raiders, if they showed up soon enough, would have been able to either A, have seen them, they'd probably keep track of stuff going through the land, seen or known the Jawas, or two, they wouldn't have seen obvious tracks, but known the sand was disturbed enough where heavy machinery went. They might have known that for at least a period of time.
I'm not saying days.
Not
But
days, but
I'm
I mean,
thinking that
depending how quickly. I'm saying is if it was like, sir, during the day he passed out and in the evening they came by, they should have still been able to tell something went through their large, like Jawas. They probably would have known and tracked, because they keep track of things going through their lands. They probably knew the
Jawas were in the area because they kind of like, they keep track of most everything. I would think that they do at least.
Depending on the wind, those tracks might be pretty much gone pretty shortly, but I'm not talking about in 5 minutes. I'm talking about,
but that's the thing,
when you
like,
span of 24 hours.
The way the show looked, looked like the Tuskens were there well before 24 hours passed. Because it was like that evening, the Jawas were tearing his shit off of him. And by morning, the Tusken Raiders grabbed him.
And honestly, if it was windy enough to remove the tracks,
exactly,
and he would have been half buried or completely buried too.
That was my other point.
Or the area would have been really differently changed. But if it's a very still like air, then you're not going to see the tracks disappear that quick. I mean, like when I was in the desert, we also had a lot of sandstorms, so literally everything changed in an anyhow pretty quickly. By the time the sands dropped back down, you could see again, everything was fucking different. But that's a lot of wind and sand. This looked pretty.
But also, if you take a look at the ships,
like
remember the sand transport things that they were on? Those weren't completely buried in sand. I would expect. Mm-hmm. So I mean, like, I'm assuming he wasn't in the Sarlacc pit for all that long, because if he was in there for any length of time, those, dead and digested. But he'd be dead and digested. It takes years to digest. Actually, I think it said it takes something like 100 years to digest in the Sarlacc pit in the originals. It takes a ridiculous amount of time, but that's for the body to digest. You're not going to live very long down there. For argument's sake, saying, like, if he was down there, but if he was down there for any length of time, in the helmet, I agree with you. If it's a couple of days, if it's a week, that shit's going to be covered in sand. Like, that's going to be buried. You're going to see things sticking up and you're going to be like, oh, that's pretty badass. There's a ship sticking up there. But that's not the case. It was like, even in, what was it? Was it The Last Jedi? No, Force Awakens, where you see Rey going over to the Star Destroyers. Even the Star Destroyers are like buried in sand. Like, that was a thing. Well, take for instance, right? You know how they discovered the Great Pyramids of Giza, right? Or rediscovered, I should say. They tripped over the tip of it. They tripped over a rock. Well, it was the tip of the damn thing. They unburied him. While we were in Iraq, you know what I unburied? Well, I didn't do it myself. A whole group of us unburied it. We dug up an entire Iraqi jet. Cool. Yeah. So, I mean, and that's my point. Is that pretty fucking quick in the desert, man? There should have been evidence that the Jawas were there, and like, again, Boba Fett's not a dumb guy. You would think that at the point in time he'd go, "Hey, you remember when you found me? Where was I? Oh, you were at the Sarlacc pit. Yeah. Well, did you see my armor there by any chance? No. Did you see anybody there who might have taken it? Oh, there's some Jawas, like there were Jawa marks or prints, and like we knew Jawas were there. Oh." And you know damn well, those little bastards steal fucking everything. You'll get out of your speeder. You'll come back and the leather off of your speeder's gone. Oh, God, you'll get off your speeder and you'll look down and realize your belt, pants, and boots are gone. Fuck you. I mean, Aladdin. Amateur. So all the Jawas, man. I really, really wanted to like this show. Steal everything. And there were just so many, and I could probably, if I sat here and thought about it, I could probably think of so many other things that were just wrong. Like, just wrong. And I mean, we could sit here, and you know what? I could probably devil's advocate myself out of a lot of it. And I did. Like, watching the show, I did. I mean, there were some fun battles. 100%. Agree with you completely. I mean, the Wookiee was a pretty badass fighter. I enjoyed the Wookiee fighting. Some of the characters. I loved most of the characters that they introduced. I wish they would have kept Cad Bane, because, like, I really liked that character, and I thought it looked good. I I thought it was interesting that they brought. I thought it was interesting the extension that they gave to Luke's story, because, like, one of the things, like, and you would think Ahsoka would have. I think I got her name right. Did I get it right? Rosario Dawson played Ahsoka. Okay. If I'm wrong, there's probably some super nerd listening right now that's cringing as me screwing up all these names, but whatever.
That's how I thought it was pronounced, but you know what? I'm just as
you would
name's pronunciation
you would think
as you
that
are.
at some point in time she would have said something to Luke of like, hey, you know this whole stringent thing of like, hey, you've got to release all attachment, and maybe that's not quite right. Because, like, okay, if somebody taught Anakin how to deal with grief, well, I mean, but let's just bear it down. If they taught him how to deal with grief, if he had grief counseling and taught how to deal with grief, his mother's death wouldn't have affected him so poorly. Him leaving his mother wouldn't have affected him so poorly. Him not being able to spend time with Padme would have not affected him so poorly. Like, basically, if this kid knew how to deal with grief, we wouldn't have had Darth Vader. Like, hey, we're going to give you a seat on this council, but we're not recognizing you as a master. Well, that pisses me off. That sucks. Well, I guess I have to grieve this, but fucking move on. Like, we wouldn't have had Darth Vader.
Yeah, between grieving and actually, you know, because everybody feels emotion, no matter how try to detach you try to be, everybody feels it. You got to figure out how to control it. So not just the grief, but also the anger, stuff that irritates you. It's like, you know, anger management class or something, man. But it's like, but they try to be this kind of devoid of everything. Oh, you can't have a girlfriend. You can't do that. You can't do. You know, we'll see what happened with Catholic priests when they were supposed to abstain, right?
But my point there is that, like, if you taught this kid grief counseling, it would have been different. You would have taught him how to deal with loss, not to absolve himself of loss, because that was their logic of let's take all this out of the picture so you can't actually lose anything. You effectively have nothing to lose. Let's take that out of the picture, and then we don't have to worry about it. Or we teach you how to deal with loss. That way you can have attachments, but you know what? If somebody comes up and they're like, hey, this is the Jedi's girlfriend. We're going to kill the Jedi's girlfriend. Wow, that sucks. Yeah, you're not going to turn
into a Sith right after.
Exactly. You're not going to turn into a lightning barfing Sith that's going to kill younglings at the drop of a hat.
I figured out if I ever, you know, ran it like a daycare business, I would not be able to, like, say, I wouldn't be able to control myself. I'd have to name it Anakin's Daycare.
Or Jedi Counseling for the Younglings or something like that. No omnibus there. But, yeah, I know. Do you want to see a second season? Like, if they came out and announced that there's a Book of Boba Fett season 2, would you get excited for it? Honestly. I
mean, I'd be hopeful. I mean, it looks like what they're setting up for with that last episode is that, yeah, this whole Daimo thing, this whole, like, you know, Carmelo thing isn't for him. Hopefully he's going to go on some more bounty hunter, like, actual adventures, and maybe they can start redeeming it. Maybe he could sort of be the bounty hunter again, or at least do something cool. The whole good guy shtick thing is just not working out. I mean, it's just not who he is. He's a ruthless bounty hunter. Maybe they can start redeeming it. I mean, they're going to have to kind of ignore the sins of the first
there's a lot
season.
there to ignore.
And I mean, it'd probably be because, like, you know, you got everybody else's on there. I mean, maybe the Wookiee will go, who knows? The Wookiee could be doing anything, but you're pretty much going to have the assassin and Boba Fett pretty much going on adventures off on their own. Maybe take the Wookiee, so then maybe they'd be a little bounty hunter crew.
I'd be okay with that. I honestly would be okay with that.
It could be cool, but it's that I think they're setting it up for that, and that could be cool. But like I said, they can't just keep treating Boba like this super do-gooder. Now it's like it's a complete character 180. You gotta you can have characters change, but you gotta explain how it's got to make sense. Like, people can, you know, even evil people can turn good, but there's something that teaches them a lesson. There's something that brings them around. There's some humanity piece that they regain, that they remember. It's just not like, I survived something shitty. What are you going to do? Retire? Nah.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a good guy. I'm going to fight crime. I'm going to be the crime lord. So you're going to, control over the underworld, right? Yeah. How? I'm going to make people obey the law. I don't think you fully understand what a crime lord is,
lord
man.
Doesn't like they don't lord over crime and abolish it. They do it.
It's like he's like, if I can set up, make sure business runs well. It's like, make sure you're protected, for a fee. Oh, so you're basically a fucking guard company, like what Zyber works for. No, I'm a crime lord. No, I think you're a fucking guard company. Yeah. You're a security company. Yeah, you're a security company, man. I'm pretty sure I'm a crime lord. Yeah, I don't think you understand how this works. And you'd think Boba Fett, after being in the field for so long, I mean, serving under so many of them and being ruthless himself, he would know how this shit works by now.
Like, if they come out with a second season, I think I'll get excited for a second season, but I'm going to have extremely low expectations, like bottom of the barrel expectations. And it'll be one of those that, like, I'll give them the 2 seasons, but if after the second season, I'm not like, oh, I want to watch this more. I'm probably just gonna be like, I'm just gonna be like,
then we're done with
like,
it.
You could put out a third season. I probably won't watch it. I mean, I'll just watch the YouTube spoilers.
I like parts. I said I like parts of it. I mean, there was overall it was fun to watch as far as the battles and everything else. I mean, I had a lot of problems with the storyline, but I wanted to kind of
speeder chase,
give it a shot. I mean, like I said, but there was fun parts of the show. I mean. And so, I mean, I did enjoy watching it because am a fan of Boba Fett, but there is stuff that disturbs me that they didn't do right at all. I'm hoping they do better. They redeem it with the second season. If they don't, I'm going to be done too.
Yeah, I think it'd have to
be. Then you kind of ruined it for me, which is sad because they've been kind of ruining Star Wars for me for a while.
We've got Obi-Wan coming out, so that's got potential to be pretty great.
It at least has the same actor as not as the original, but I mean as the obviously as the prequels and everything else. And I like him as an actor.
Yeah,
I thought he did a great job.
I have much higher hopes for Obi-Wan than I do for a second season of Boba Fett. Now, one thing that I guess I am mildly concerned about is I don't know. Like, remember I said the Book of Boba Fett really just felt like an explanation for a side quest for Mando. And if they don't make a second season, then that's literally in my brain. That's what I'm writing it off as. They literally just made an extended side quest explanation for Mando. And you're just going to have all these characters pop in and out of the Mandalorian. And that's it. That's how that's going to work.
See, I wouldn't have minded that if they just did a better job, at least, even if it was a temporary thing. Even if Boba Fett went riding into the sunset or fucking retired, as long as it was good, you know what I mean? If he just said afterwards, this is just not for me, what are you going to do? Fucking retire, man. Take my gold and take my money and run.
Like, I honestly would be happy even if he did like the heroic sacrifice thing. Mando came and basically was ready to die for him. And he turned around and he's like, well, hey, you were there for me, so I'm there for you. And him just getting clocked out right there. Like, I would be even okay with that. Of like, all right, there's a redeeming thing for his character. Somebody came out, stuck their neck out for you. You're not used to that. They showed you what real honor is. You turned around and tried to do that back. Okay, I could get that.
And if they did better writing and saying, okay, even the back to tank didn't fully heal. He didn't mention he's like, I'm full of injuries. Why are you getting your ass kicked all the time? He's so full of injuries, and even the back to tank, he just can't keep up anymore. Heroic sacrifice. And even that would make sense. It's like, Mando's like, what's going on? I'm slowing down. It's like, shit.
Well, I mean, Cod Bane even mentioned, him being older. So, I mean, they made reference to it.
Yeah. I mean, he is getting up there, but I mean, still, it's like, even getting older, you're not going to sit in there, hit a few years older and suddenly it's like you lose it all. I mean, you are going to decrease some, but I mean, it's like, I can see with injuries, but even with the back to take, you got to explain it. You got to sit there and say, okay, these injuries have added up. Even with that, you're not fully recovering. But I'm all healed.
This is all tied to him being a clone.
I was, because, the clones weren't perfect and sometimes they degraded.
See, now that, all right, hold on. I might have just turned my brain. No. I'm still sticking with I didn't like Book of Boba Fett. But that's something that I think I'm going to chew on for the next couple of days.
But explore it. I mean, it's like, because I mean, he is a clone of Jango, but clones weren't always
this
perfect.
Is all tying back to because he's a clone. That's why he needed the Bacta tank. But that wouldn't explain why he said he was fully healed. I don't know.
Well, healed for his injuries, but maybe he's having problems because of genetic problem with cloning. Because some of the clones, even when they did the clones with Palpatine, a lot of them were fucked.
Now I want to. Okay, now I want a second season to see if they explain this.
Yeah, inviting me for this one is devil's advocate.
I know.
I'm going to play with shit.
It just hit me about the clone thing.
I'm going to play with shit.
Wait a second. He's a clone.
It hit me about the same time, too. I was sitting there ruminating as I'm trying to get the other point. It's like,
I don't know. Well,
because I didn't see, I didn't see defects with clone troopers, like them, but the cloning process was often mentioned as not being perfect in the Star Wars series. In fact, there was a lot of failures for even Palpatine's clones.
Yeah, and they did mention that a lot of his failures in his clones. So, I don't know.
So didn't it turn out that Snoke was just a failed clone, too?
That was supposed to be what that was. I thought it was like a failed clone of Palpatine was supposed to invade him, but it didn't work out, so he just was meh.
He was such a piss poor clone, he ended up just being a tool.
They had a clone, and one of the clones didn't even have any force powers, and that was Rey's father. Right? Because Rey's father was a Palpatine clone.
I'm trying to remember if he just was powerless or just had shitty power or just was low.
I want to say that he was powerless.
I mean, I saw it once and it was just I didn't like them.
Well, that's probably a completely different episode to record. But on that note, man, where can people find you at?
People can find me at, I'm doing some more articles soon from my microbrewgamers.com with a Z instead of an S. That's my website. I got to be, maybe in these, when I get some time from, off from work, I can make some more videos on the website. I'm on Microbrew Gamers on YouTube. I got a Twitch account. I'm not on Twitch very much, but I've also got an Instagram, Facebook, and of course I've got a Discord, but I'm mostly haunting the G.N.A. Discord. And of course, in between, my little quest for trying to find the Darksaber myself, I'll probably just lose a leg, but, at least I'll play with it. I could call myself the king of the Mandalorians for about 5 minutes before I fuck myself up.
And I'm Cecil Xavier, your host. You can find me on Cecil vs. Games on Twitter, Cecil Xavier everywhere else. Ustream, Twitch, Xbox, PlayStation, Steam, Grindr, Tinder, Bumble, Hitch. I don't know, wherever else you want to find me. I'm there, Cecil Xavier, sometimes with an underscore, sometimes without, sometimes with a space, sometimes without. But find me. If I'm not someplace, let me know. I'll go there too. Of course, I'm on Discord. If we're not in your Discord, let me know. I'll bounce there. We hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe on your favorite podcast app. Reviews help people find the show. So if you enjoyed listening to us, let other people know. Mitch, if you're listening right now, hey buddy, how you doing? Hope you had a great day. Catch you later. We are on all the major places: iTunes, Android, Google, or Google Play, Podcast, Player FM, Spreaker, MyTuner, Your Listen, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and a whole bunch of other places. Wherever you want to listen. If we're not there, let us know. We'll upload there too. We're partnered up with Humble Bundle. Humble Bundle is a game purchasing service with a little bit of a twist. Allows you to donate to charity as you buy games. So just put $partner equals G.N.A. podcast at the end of your link. That lets them know we sent you there. Just take that slider, put it all the way down to 0. We don't want any of your money. We just want you to give it all to charity, maybe Humble Bundle, maybe some of the developers, wherever. What else? Oh, yeah, we have a website, www.gnapodcast.com, which has got links to... I'm actually going to be putting links to all of our different places that we have our show on, like Spotify and whatnot. There's also links up there to articles that points over to Dee's website at microbrewgamers.com. Miss anything? I don't think I missed anything. I think I'm good. Well, D, thank you so much for joining me tonight. Have a great night.
Thank you for having me. It's been fun.